Good morning and welcome to Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition right here on 92.9 KVRE, streaming online at kvre.com. I've got the OJ. I don't know what Tracy has in his cup, but we're ready to talk sports this Saturday morning. Tracy, how are things going for you this week?
Pretty good, man. We are loaded this week, and I don't mean just what's in my cup either. We've got tons of stuff to talk about. Excitement not only on the local level, but college and on the pro level. So we're stacked and racked this week, Mark.
Well, we've got to start with the NBA, of course. First, Tracy, the NBA Finals will be upon us shortly, and some really good basketball being played right now. You know, I have to kind of apologize a little bit. I think I'm going to begin this week's show by issuing an apology to any Boston Celtics fans out there because no matter how they did it, Boston is back in the NBA Finals. They sweep the Indiana Pacers in 4 games. And, Tracy, I will give them their props. You know, certainly the best team on paper coming in, the team with the best record coming in to this NBA postseason. But I got to say, it looked a little sloppy getting there. But, if anything, this is a team that, maybe was a little bit battle-tested this series. They finally played their first opponent that I would say is, for the most part, healthy. I know Halliburton really went down with that sprain and really kind of changed the game potentially in those later games. The thing I think was most frustrating for me watching this series was that Indiana was in every single game of this series. The Pacers had a real strong opportunity to make this interesting, make it close, and I really think it was winnable ball games for many of these for Indiana, but Boston able to find a way to get it done in the end.
You're right. There was no blowouts, and that did really surprise me. With, just like you said, Halliburton going down, but not just Halliburton, but they had several key players that had what I say, nicks and scrapes, that kind of a deal. Never 100% fullback. Their 3-point shooting that they had during the regular season, which kept them alive, absolutely went cold. I mean, it was, and for that to go cold and still stay in the game like they did, several times it was winning at the very end, and they just couldn't get it done. And I'm not going to have any forgiveness, but Boston's defense, I admit, they came on strong a little bit there at the end where they'd been soft all year long. They actually beat them in rebounds. They hit the boards hard. And actually, I think that's what won the game for them, especially in Game 4, when they were really wanting to close it out and get some rest. Because they've got some little nicks and scrapes too, though. You know what I mean? They're hanging in there, but they needed the rest, and closing it out did the job.
And no matter which team you are, when you reach this stage of the postseason with the championship on the horizon, you need leadership. And of course, Jason Tatum is certainly the star of the show for Boston. But it was really Jaylen Brown that stepped up and helped get this team across the finish line. Certainly, his biggest shot of the series was probably that game-tying 3 at the end of regulation in Game 1. It goes to overtime. Celtics are able to get it done, but it's Jaylen Brown who hoists the Larry Bird Trophy at the end of the series as the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. I think that's huge for this team going into the finals. Of course, as of this recording, they await the winner of Minnesota and Dallas, and we'll get to them in a minute. But for Boston, the one thing that I can say is that no matter how ugly this series looked at times, they found a way to win when it mattered the most. Now, the NBA recently started measuring what they call clutch time, Tracy, and that's where the score is within 5 points in the last 5 minutes of regulation or overtime. And in this series, the Celtics played 18 minutes of clutch time across games 1, 3, and 4 specifically. And, whatever you rank the competition level of the Indiana Pacers, the Celtics were in close ball games down the stretch in clutch time, as NBA calls it, and were able to get it done. Now, no matter who they end up facing off against, whether it's the Mavericks or the Timberwolves, they will have that on their resume where the game may be close, and whatever the finals matchup is going to be, I assume it will be close ball games just due to the level of competition that's left in front of us here. But Boston does have that on its track record. Best team on paper, certainly best record coming in, and in close ball games, they find a way to close them out. They have no choke artist out of this team in green. They've only lost twice in the postseason, all postseason long. They look to be in a pretty good spot to make it a really good finals, I think.
Mark, in the 3 of the 4 games, though, they were behind going in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
You want to talk clutch? They had to come back, and just like you said, Brown, he led the way. There's no doubt about that. But I'm going to use one of your old statements you've used, one of your clutch phrases, a two-headed monster, so to speak, right away with Tatum and Brown. But you're going to see that also when we talk a little bit about Dallas. Now, we don't know yet if but they are up. Okay, we're just going to favor, or I am a little bit towards that way. We're going to give you some odds on it for the Wolves to come back and win, which Vegas loves those odds. Trust me on that. But yes, this two-headed monster right now, and Brown particularly. This guy, not only, and I know he's a guard stature, but he plays like a small forward. I swear, he goes in, he rebounds. Of course, the 3 ball, you don't leave him open. It's just that simple. But if you noticed, we're going to go back to where minutes played. And he's healthy right now. I know he was nicked up for health, like you said, everybody is at this point in time. But he's healthy right now. They did get some bench play a little bit as it was, but he played some minutes, and he was clutch at the time. I got news for you. Even when they sent him to the free throws, he made them when he had to. But, man, he was balling at the end there. And sure enough, if I'm going to give it Larry Bird, think of clutch. You think of Larry Bird. If I'm going to give it to somebody, he obviously earned it. No doubt about that.
Now let's take our attention to the Western Conference Finals, where things started looking pretty good for Dallas until they hit Game 4. Minnesota Timberwolves come in and win 105-100. That's a big win. No matter how this series goes, no matter how it finishes up, certainly the big albatross looming over this matchup right now is no team has ever come back from a 3-0 deficit to win the series. Minnesota certainly in rare territory here in the Western Conference Finals, wanting to get to the finals, wanting to make that push, trying to bring the first franchise championship. Dallas is a really strong team right now. Tracy, Luka Doncic is coming off of his 6th triple-double this postseason, had 28 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists, even in a losing effort to Minnesota. And, the 1-2 punch of Luka and Kyrie, whenever I saw that this was going to be a matchup after that trade, I was like, we'll see how it works out.
Yeah.
It's working out pretty well. Probably the best 1-2 combination in the NBA, period, right now, even including the teams that aren't here in the postseason.
They're leading the scoring, aren't they?
Yeah,
that dual threat.
That's right.
They're leading the scoring.
It's the leading scoring duo in the NBA, and they're down in Dallas, Texas. It's crazy. That Luka has been electric all postseason long. He had the multiple triple doubles against OKC to close out the number 1 seed. Knocked down the game-winning 3-pointer for the Mavericks in Game 2 in Dallas. This is a guy that's got something to prove. We talk about legacy. We've talked about this before. These guys, all these younger stars, are trying to build their legacy. Luka's looking for his first title. Kyrie's looking for another one. We talked about Boston. Jason Tatum wants his first one. And of course, these Minnesota guys are really wanting to make an impact. Anthony Edwards is being referred to as potentially the next Michael Jordan caliber-esque basketball player. We'll see, but I know that adding a ring will certainly help that discussion for him. Now, when it comes to Minnesota, so what does it take to do something that has never been done before? Come back from 3 games down to win the series? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to take a lot of willpower. It's going to take a little bit of hope. It's going to take a lot of bit of luck as well. You can't attack the series as a whole. The cliche is you got to attack it 1 game at a time, but you really have to attack it 1 possession at a time. Here's the deal. Luka and Kyrie, even in the losing effort in Game 4, still had 30-plus points apiece. There's no slowing down this monster. It hasn't been done. They haven't done it in 4 games. I don't think the magical cure is out there in Game 5, 6, and 7. But in order to beat them, you have to outscore them. The old John Madden approach, right? Mm-hmm. You have to be able to take it to them, match them bucket for bucket, and outlast them in the end. Hey, Game 4 showed they can do it. They will have to continue to do it. Game 5 is obviously super huge for this series, but going on, if that series was to continue, you have to play near perfect basketball at this stage.
Well, and bench. We mentioned this last Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
The bench is going to play a factor in here. If you saw Kyrie, and look, they did get some rest. They didn't play all the minutes, and they got some rest. And I think they know this. Let's just give a little bit of series that are leading 3-0, all right? In 4 games, it's 95-55 5 games 45, 6 games 11. It's 155 versus 0 all time.
Yeah.
Okay, 155. There's a number there, 0. The odds are, and let's just say Vegas is real interested in this, but I think the biggest factor here is you got a kid over there for the Wolves that's playing his brains out, of course, we know, and he's good. Let's just make no bones about it. You saw him hit the shot right at halftime, you know, and then looked over and grinned at him, you know, like, okay, y'all going to give us this one?
Yep.
But I don't think there's enough help on the Wolves. He needs some help over there. He can't play all the minutes. He can't have every possession. He can't have every rebound. Whereas if you look over at the Mavericks, both of those, they both gave up some money. And at this point, you're looking for a ring. They got all the money they need already.
Yeah, but it's not about the money.
Yeah, they gave up some money, all right, in the long run to get some other key players to come off the bench. They got a really good rookie over there. They've got some veterans over there. And what's that guy's name? Gafford?
Former Razorback.
Yeah, okay.
El Dorado native, Daniel Gafford,
there you go. So as it is right now, they've got some key players with all the positions that are healthy. Plus, they got the bench play right now. I'm not going to step over it. And, of course, guys, we taped this early in the week. I'm not going to step on anybody's toes right now. But I think coming up on June 6th, we're going to have a matchup that could be epic. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to go ahead and go out there, Mark. Go ahead. I'll ask for forgiveness down the road. But I'm seeing the Mavericks. In Boston, I'm seeing a good matchup coming up, and I think it's going to be one of those ones for the memories.
Yeah, I think so too. Minnesota proved me wrong, but I think it's going to be Dallas and Boston in the finals, and I think it's going to be a really entertaining finals to watch. Of course, we're seeing some of these newer guys, the rising stars, getting their turn. It's the changing of the guard. We talked about that for multiple weeks on this show now. Not to say that the future Hall of Famers that are not at this stage are done by any means. You're going to see them bounce back next year, but there's so much parity in the NBA right now. There's so much. It really feels like there's so many teams that can win it right now. We talked about it going into the postseason. It felt wide open, even though Boston was the number 1 seed. But if it is Boston and Dallas, it's a number 1 versus a number 5 in the finals. Like, that's how wild the West is, and I like. Oh, I always like rooting for the underdog, but it really feels like it's hard to choose who that underdog is. Just because Dallas has a number 5 slapped in front of their name, I don't necessarily know that makes them the worst team out of the two.
Well, we've gone through these numbers before, and we've seen that, whether you rate them at 5, rate them at 1, whatever your case you rate them. Hey, look, you still got to play the game as it is. All right, first quarter is coming to a close, gang, and we've still got 3 more to go as time's dwindling down. Hey, second quarter coming up. You don't want to miss out right here. And don't forget now, we're also going to be giving away some Travelers tickets today at 1 point. So get that ready to text that 915-1300 when we give away those Travelers tickets right here on Sports and Shorts, the Tailgate Edition at 92.9.
Welcome back to Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition, right here on 92.9 KVRE and online at kvre.com. Segment 2 with Tracy Simpson and myself. We're going to talk a little Arkansas Razorbacks baseball, Tracy. Now, I know that you're kind of the glass half full. I'm the glass half empty, so to speak. But I was a little troubled by what I saw out of the SEC tournament for the Hogs. And listen, I know that going into this series, it was a series that, Arkansas didn't have to go and win the SEC tournament in order to get what it wanted, and that was more home games, specifically at Baum-Walker Stadium. But the 0-2 run in the tournament troubled me a little bit just because of, some of the goals that we had talked about last week that I thought that Arkansas was trying to achieve. Didn't really feel like it came through for me there, whether it's inside of the pitching and the bullpen or even just the errors out in the field that we saw. Just kind of looked like a sloppy team, which unfortunately, yes, did reach its goal of hosting a regional in Fayetteville, which is what the team really wants, but also kind of on a skid coming in on a 3-game losing streak. That's the longest of the season so far. Want to get your impressions on Arkansas's opportunity and its outing in the tournament and the road ahead.
Mark, I know my glass is half full all the time, but following the Razorbacks like we have this year, I saw this team as they're grinders. They went out there and got it. You saw a lot of happenings in the latter part of the series. And yes, they are really good up on the hill. There's no doubt about that. But I saw a lot of just look like less effort. I guess that's what I'm saying, less effort.
The stakes weren't very high,
No,
right?
well.
I mean, there wasn't really anything to lose. We knew that, Arkansas, they'd already done the work this season. They did the work to get where they needed to be. As they go into the regional stage, they're that number 5 seed. They get to host their own regional in Fayetteville, have some pretty interesting competition, which we'll get to in a moment. But,
Mark, what do you win by getting the SEC tournament? What's the accomplishment there?
I don't know that there's really much of a difference there, honestly. However, in terms of where your regional is played, you're still going to host the regional.
You're going to
still host the regional.
Why do you accomplish and win the SEC? Just to get the trophy?
Well, here's what I tell you. It's not about the trophy. It's not about adding a few more wins to your record. It's about continuing to develop, because the eye on the prize is winning in Omaha and winning when it's all said and done. And we talked about those goals, hoping to reach. Look, Hagen Smith pitched, I think, 2 innings throughout the whole tournament. We knew that they were going to rest him. There was no surprise to me that he didn't pitch much, and even with the team down, let's throw him in and get some wins. The goal the whole time was to rest Smith and develop the rest of the bullpen. We need a confident, solid number 2 and number 3 in this rotation. We need bullpen work, and it wasn't there. It did not happen. And yeah, whenever we get to the regional stage, the super regional stage specifically, if we can get there, Hagen Smith's going to do Hagen Smith things. But
that's one game.
But he can't do it all.
Yeah.
So being able to shore that up and fix some of that, put some Band-Aids on some of these guys and get them back out there ready to go, that was the main mission in my eye. That was the main goal, and I didn't see that. I didn't see that level of production. What I saw was a bullpen that kind of fell flat. I believe giving up 7 runs between the 2 starters there, and the defense not bailing them out. Multiple errors, especially in the middle infield, felt lackadaisical to say the least. And I know that they weren't must-win games, and sure, the Razorbacks are fine at Baum Walker. And let me talk about the things that are good here. Razorbacks are going to host a regional for the 6th time in 7 years, the number 5 seed overall in the tournament, and they've got the likes of Louisiana Tech, Kansas State, and Southeast Missouri State.
SEMO.
And here, they'll get SEMO, and it's a great matchup on paper. But what the Razorbacks need to do here, of course, they want to win this regional. If they win the regional, it's likely they'll probably face Virginia in the super regional, which will also be in Fayetteville, which is great. I mean, yeah, the goal right now is to win as many games as you can at Baum Walker in Fayetteville, because you've got to get that momentum back. This is a team that has dropped 7 out of its 11 last games. It's on a 3-game losing streak for the first time this year. This is a team that needs a little bit of momentum, needs a little bit of pop in order to get into Omaha and do some great things here, because just as well as I do, baseball is such a mental game, and especially for these other pitchers. Hagen Smith is probably feeling fine, getting ready to go out on the hill and do his thing, but these other pitchers are probably a little bit worried about, man, I didn't have my stuff whenever I went out there, because I guarantee they didn't go into these games in the SEC tournament thinking, I'm just going to go out there, I'm just going to try not to get hurt, if I don't do so well, whatever. No, they're going out there and trying to have peak performance out there, and it just wasn't there.
Or, okay, you're saying develop. Well, they've had almost 60 games to develop the bullpen.
Well, you're right.
How much more do you want developed? I mean,
I know, and that's the thing about slumps, right? The way to break out of a slump is to play more baseball,
right?
And try to see if you can just magically get out of the slump. But there's so much mental to it. There's physical to it too, because you're right. They have played a lot of games this year. It is a long season, and nobody knows that better than Dave Van Horn, who realized that and wasn't going to put Smith out there to give him the rest, but also to kind of test the other guys. Hey, we need to see who's going to step up, whoever has the hot hand, because if they can find that number 2, the one that really puts it on when the pressure's on, maybe even the back is against the wall. I mean, at some point, you're going to get into a lose or go home situation. That is who they need to get hot right now, and they just don't have that guy right now.
Well, and it's not like, I'm going to say for effort, because South Carolina, they had a chance right there. They had a chance, and they just couldn't pull it off, and you lose by 1 run. And South Carolina even came back on at the very end because what? The bullpen. Okay, errors played one part in South Carolina, but then also against Kentucky, errors, drop balls, fundamentals.
It's contagious.
Fundamentals, Mark, though, you don't you got a guy on third and you throw it to first to try to get him out, and it's air throw, and right there, he won and going back, and the guy goes home, and then from there, they just fell apart. They got close to him again, and then at the end of the game, bullpen comes unraveled. And I know Van Horn, he was sitting there scratching his head going, well, what do I do? He brought in his freshman, SEC, all honors and everything like that. They rocked his world. And I was in like, okay, they're bringing him in. We're looking okay. Next thing you know, dinger, and then 9-6, and Kentucky's celebrating. So, they got plenty of rest right now. Now, here's another question I'm going to ask you. How much practice have they done? Did he give them a break over more? Did they?
No chance. No shot.
No way. Nobody went home.
No, and of course, you see all the post-game interviews and things like that. And of course, Dave is feeling very confident. The guys are feeling very confident. And you know what? Even Vegas is feeling really confident as well. Yeah. Arkansas is still ranked the third best odds to win it all in Omaha this year, despite these struggles as of late. I mean, that's good news for the Razorbacks fans. And I know it sounds like I'm really like downing the team right now, but I'm cautiously optimistic here. Absolutely. Does the team have what it takes on paper? Do they have the personnel? Do they have the player base to get this done? Yeah, they do. This could be the season. It really could. But right now, the slump worries me a little bit. And, I think not enough people are talking about the slump. They're talking about, the other talk radio shows out there are talking about all the good things they've done, and they're great things. But right now, to me, I think the best Band-Aid fix to this is the fact that there's no place like home. I'm really looking forward to them getting back to Fayetteville. Let's win this regional. Let's get the super regional. Let's beat a very good Virginia team. And then let's head into Omaha with some huge momentum.
The hot hand, and I'm telling you, we've talked about this and made remarks on this several times, Mark. I was impressed. And, of course, Tennessee's a real deal. Kentucky, they've got the chance right there also. But, boy, LSU, they took Tennessee, to the very end. And in a 4-3 game, which I think right now, and if you look over there at their bracket, wow. I mean, they've got North Carolina, but that's something that says a lot about their character. But SEC, what have we said the other day? I think 9 out of the last 10 years, they've won it all. So Oregon State had, Beavers, they good team that year.
Right.
But this is the year again. You got 4 of the top 5 teams in the country that are representing the SEC and some good play. Who's got the easiest bracket? There's no easy brackets at this point in time. SEMO's got a couple of their pitching staff's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Inferior play against lesser teams, yes. But once again, what you made the remark, 33-3, I think is what you said.
Yeah, 33-3 at home coming into the postseason.
I think that, like you said, though.
And you know that the fans are going to be electric. It is going to be an electric atmosphere. And I love that for baseball. I know that, here in Arkansas, Razorback football likely dominates the athletic scene. But boy, Hog fans are so proud of their team. And it's not just football, the way that they turn out for these basketball games at Bud Walton, and certainly for Razorback baseball and the other sports too in Fayetteville. The crowd is going to be there as that 10th man on the field. I think it's going to be extremely important as well to help get these guys mentally back to where they should be right now.
Well, it's already sold out, Mark. If it gives
of course.
Inclination, they're going to be stacked waiting around. They're going to
close area businesses. It's like a national holiday.
The whole road's going to be closed there.
For sure.
And they'll have the section out there by the road. They'll probably be in the streets or the parking lot right across from it, waiting for the long ball to come to them. But either or, I think they'll make a good showing. Van Horn's been around a long time. If anybody can make corrections, he can do it. But you know what he's eyeing. You know that already.
Oh, yeah.
And so the possibilities are there, Mark. Just can they do it? Can they get through this bracket? Like you said, a good Louisiana Tech team, man. Just don't overlook SEMO, though. Don't get me wrong. But come Friday, we'll know, right?
Well, you talked about easy brackets. I kind of think Tennessee's got a pretty easy shot up top with the likes of Southern Miss, Indiana, and Northern Kentucky. But whenever I look at the bracket as a whole, I think Tennessee is probably the top dog. Now certainly out of the bottom side of the bracket, I think Arkansas or LSU could certainly make the, run the gauntlet all the way to the finals. But I think Tennessee will be waiting for one of those teams at the finish line.
No doubt about that. Second quarter, we've run out of time, but that's okay. Third quarter is coming up. and we've got more Tailgate Edition right here, Sports and Shorts, so stay tuned. And we've got those giveaways coming up for Travelers. Mark, go ahead and light them up on that.
Yeah, so listen, there's a big series coming up for the Arkansas Travelers at Dickey-Stevens Park. It's Saturday, June 8th, and Sunday, June 9th. They're playing the Springfield Cardinals. That's the greatest show on turf, and we would like to send you there to see the games. You can text us right now at 501-915-1300. Text TRAVS to 501-915-1300 and let us know if you want to go to the Saturday game, June 8th, or the Sunday game, June 9th. We've got a family 4-pack of tickets for you.
It's either the 6:05 on Saturday or 1:35 on Sunday. Texas right now, Travs, I want to go. 915-1300. It's a family 4-pack. Mark, we run out of time in the second quarter. Third quarter coming up right here at 92.9. And don't forget, we're streaming at kvre.com.
And we're back. Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition here on 92.9 KVRE. He's Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. And Tracy, I know very, very well that school is out for the summer. And boy, the boys are already going crazy at home. But, with high school athletics in the books for the year, there's still one more final hurrah upcoming in the month of June, and that's the high school all-star games for baseball, softball, and soccer. Amazing years closed out by some really amazing teams throughout Central Arkansas and beyond this year. And, once again, the all-star games being played at the beautiful facilities, the University of Central Arkansas in Conway. The soccer boys and girls all-star games will be held Wednesday, June 19th at UCA, and then baseball and softball to follow on Friday, June 21st in Bear Country at the University of Central Arkansas. As we take a look at some of the soccer rosters, there's a lot of really big names that made the cut for the East and the West on the boys' side this year. Aldo Leon for Bryant, Giovanni Luna for Bryant as well. Brandon Hernandez, who did some really big things for the Centerpoint Knights this year, gets the shot there for the boys. And then also on the West side, Lake Hamilton's got a couple of all-stars on the list. Kelvin Martinez, Miguel Salazar, Angel Perez from Malvern. And of course, you can't say the roster without the head coach of the East, and that's Bryant's Richard Friday.
Let me tell you something. This is something that has been coming on now for years and years, Mark. Football, as they say it, but now here in America it is so prevalent. Like I was talking about last week, going out on Malvern on Saturday morning, right there by the shoe factory, those fields are always hopping, and it's getting so prevalent right now. Lots of kids are turning to it, and it's exciting. It's, when you think of the World Cup and such like that, and so dreams can come true. You've got a lot of kids nowadays getting to that next level and playing college ball and getting scholarships and stuff. So that's exciting. The MPC's on the board with it now. And so
yes.
I'm looking at excitement. I'm looking at, of course, my side. I'm looking at revenue, of course, but you're looking at something that can progressively make these kids get to the next level, get an education, and help them out. And soccer, boy, I just wish it had been a little bit more prevalent. I was encouraged by it when I was younger and living in some days in Texas, and it was fun down there. I wasn't so good at it, but I could run with them all day. Just I wanted to use my hands too much. But as it is right now, these kids have got something to look forward to. Not everybody's acclimated for, baseball, basketball, or football. And now that soccer's coming in, man, I'm loving it. And I think you want to go see some excitement, especially with this level, man. And also, like you said, see some stars of the future.
And hey, listen, if you're just dying to play soccer, we can probably start our own KVRE soccer league. And I'm sure we can find maybe let's go challenge the other radio station, WKRP style.
I don't know. But can I coach? Maybe that or be goalie.
I think
I think I can be the goalie.
I think would be the most injured team in the game for sure. For sure.
I want to see you out there running.
Yeah, no. I've got a hurt foot right now. It's not happening. On the East girls side, congratulations to the following All-Stars: Lily Miller and Kaylee Pfluger of Bryant, Stephanie Rico of Bauxite, and McKenna Wright of Lakeside. And this is. McKenna has had not only a great season, but really a great career over at Lakeside. Recently, the AAA, the Arkansas Activities Association, recently updated its record books, and McKenna received not one, not two, but 3 entries this season.
Wow.
159 career goals, which is second all-time in girls soccer history in Arkansas. She scored 67 goals this season, which ties her for second all-time in Arkansas history, and has 6 goals in a game, which ranks up there very high on the list as well. It's an incredible achievement for the future OBU Tiger. Going to be playing in Arkadelphia next year, and just for an amazing program that did so many great things. Kind of a heartbreaking way to end the season. Unfortunately, only one can win it. We talked about it a few times and talked about Lakeside soccer boys and girls on this program, but McKenna Wright will also be named to the West Girls All-Star squad, and her coach, Diana Judd, is also going to be one of the assistant coaches on the West team. And of course, the head coach of the East Girls squad will be Olivia Organ of Bryant.
And right now, like we were talking about, so prevalent with, especially around here, it's encouraging for these high school kids to go to that next level. We know GAC is, the Great American Conference is so prevalent, like you said, OBU, but man, even at that level, Division II, you got play in Kansas, you got to play up in, of course, Missouri and Oklahoma, a lot of it. And they're a little bit of ahead of the program. They've had programs that have been involved in soccer for a little bit longer, but now they're coming on strong with it. But it's encouraging to know that, man, oh man, it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And to have somebody in our region with all these records, what does that say to the underclassmen coming up and also the kids? Because I'm going to tell you what, just like you were talking about the other day with flag football, soccer, when they come up and get signups going on, they fill up, and they fill up quick. So I think it's in good hands around here, especially at that level you're talking about, the Rams. My goodness, also over with the Wolves. Can't leave out the Trojans by no means. They've got some, but it all goes back to just the enforcement from not only NCAA, but from the parents. And I think it's a very encouraging. I think we're in good, feet. I should say hands, but feet.
Absolutely. Look at the growth here. I just named 10 student athletes from the local, Garland, Saline, and kind of around the surrounding KVRE listening area. 10 student athletes in this region being named to the All-Star squad for some really good schools that had really good soccer programs this year. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like that before. I didn't even have soccer as an option growing up. And of course, a lot of the smaller schools still do not, but those opportunities are there. The sport is growing. It's growing in such a big way. Of course, National Park College also has men's and women's soccer, just coming off of winning the region championship for both their men's and women's squad last year. The women were one win away from going to the national tournament in Phoenix, Arizona. So it's growing, and it's growing in a good way. You talked about the fields behind the shoe factory, the Monroe Soccer Complex, multiple fields out there. Lakeside High School has really good soccer facilities. I know that we've seen, of course, also Hot Springs is really making some great renovations over there in Trojan country. So things are good right now. The state of the game, I think, is really, really good, and it's only going to develop into further things. Of course, we always talk about, it breeds really good kickers, too, on the high school football scene. But a few other names I want to get out there, of course, the baseball and softball side as well. The All-Stars, congratulations. On the baseball diamond, Lake Hamilton's Easton Hurley. Boy, he's done so much for the Wolves this
at
season.
Every level, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. What a true playmaker. And Benton's Dalton Adair also being named. They're going to be teammates. Easton and Dalton will both represent the Western All-Stars. And then want to give a tip of the hat to Garrett Bach. He's the coach of Bryant's baseball team. He'll be one of the assistant coaches for the East squad. And for the softball side, a handful of honorees in the All-Star game, both on the East team. We have Cadence Armstrong for Bryant, Katie Wells for Bauxite, and then on the West squad, we've got Leah Cook for Lakeside, Maddie Fulmer for Magnet Cove, and even Kylie Crump from Kirby making the All-Star team this year.
Mark, you know what I see also about this, and you'll see this later as your kids get a little bit older, but my boys so established in some of these sports, but when they go to these all-star games and down the road, whether it's maybe not just the all-star game, but also with them sharing titles such as being all conference or all state and such, they meet other kids at other schools and they form relationships.
Yes.
And I've seen it, and it was really prevalent, back in our days, but nowadays with social media, they can keep up with each other just a little bit more fluent, and it's so. I'll be honest with you, it's overwhelming sometimes because when my kids went off to play college ball and stuff like that, they already had established friendships with some of these, and whether it was through, the athletic end of it or FCA or whatever the case is, when they got to campus, they were like, oh, they already knew him and stuff like that. And so it was one thing for them to grow up in our little neck of the woods here and for them to form relationships with the kids they went to school with and stuff. But when you see them go off and then meet other kids that have the same affluence at their school and just develop these relationships, which is a common bond. And yes, academically, we want them to flourish at the next level, of course, but sports has brought them together. And that's what they have as far as that common bond I'm talking about. And they see kids with the same kind of relationships that they have. And now I'm seeing my boys with friends that have in Texas and Oklahoma, Missouri, and kids that they've met. But it all started with something just as simple as playing the sport that they loved. And yeah, academics is hopefully playing a big part of it down the road to get a degree or such. But it just was something special to see these. And still to this day, my older sons, they still keep in touch with these guys, and it's crazy. Of course, social media makes it so much easier these days. But it was something to go to the All-Star games and just see them talking to the other kids, sharing shirts, and they do the jersey, re-gift
swaps, yes.
And it was something special, man. And that is something you can never take away from. Yeah, ultimate goal is, of course, winning the games and getting the trophy and all that stuff. But the other is just the bond that they make. It's pretty cool, Mark.
Yeah, I love these all-star games. I think UCA is a great facility for these. I've had the opportunity to broadcast some of these in years past. I've broadcasted the high school football all-star game before, and I'm telling you, the level of talent that you see, a lot of these guys, they're going to be teammates in the all-star game, and they just may end up as teammates on Saturdays as well, or whatever day in their respective sport. It's really incredible to see the power, like you said, of social media being used for good. We always talk about it being used for bad and the bad things that come with it. But yeah, it's all for the love of the game. And hats off to each of these student athletes on incredible years, incredible achievements. And, for many of them, not everybody will go to play at the next level. Some make the decision to hang it up, focus on their academics, build their careers, and that's perfectly fine.
Oh, yes,
but
definitely.
This gives them one last opportunity, one final hurrah to go out there and play for fun. Because usually in these postseasons, these championships, it's, we're so close to the ring. Oh, there's so much stress and pressure on this. We have to win. We must win. This gives them an opportunity to let loose, unwind, play your game, and just have fun. That's what it's all supposed to be about, right?
No, you better believe it. Every time I used to break the huddle, it was have fun. And they do that. They have all kinds of meetings and stuff, and they get to go out and eat pizza and do what they want to. It's a great way of, like you said, maybe they're going to be hanging it up. And speaking of hanging it up, quarter 3 is done. We're out of the books here. We'll be back with fourth quarter coming up. Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition right here at 92.9.
Welcome back to Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition right here on KVRE. He's Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. And I thought we'd close out the show this week with a little bit of a fun topic. Of course, we talked about high school football a little bit on the show this week. And, Tracy, before you know it, it's already June. Before you know it, high school football is going to be back in the air. It'll be fall. And, we'll be back on the radio right here on KVRE calling Fountain Lake football for year number 15. On the microphone. And Tracy, over the past 14 years, boy, we've really seen some interesting moments. And I know everybody that tunes into the broadcast and maybe comes and sees us at the games, you only really see part of what we see. There's so many stories that happen behind the scenes, funny moments, some maybe not so funny, but we thought that we'd go into the vault this week and share a few of our most interesting moments that we've had broadcasting Fountain Lake football and stories that we haven't really shared with anybody else before. So you guys are really getting first dibs on this, Tracy. Maybe I'll just start by asking you about what's a moment that really stands out to you that is just kind of wild and out there.
Wild and out there on the field or behind the scenes, Mark?
I don't know. What's the first one that comes to your mind?
There's been so many of them through the years, Mark. We've been blessed. I'll be honest with you, we have been blessed to be a part of an organization, part of a school, and the kids and coaches. And I wouldn't take back not one moment of it. Of course, even in the losses, which we've seen our share, but we've had some great thrill wins also. But I think one of the biggest ones, I'll be honest with you, goes back to playing Nashville this 3 years ago.
Yes.
Before they had to go to 8-man, but Hot Springs and Lakeside and Lake Hamilton were really doing well that year. Fountain Lake was down, okay? And obviously, with their heads low and stuff like that, you go down to a Nashville Scrappers, which nobody goes in there and has a good time. It's just that simple. Between them and Rising, they've won more state championships than any other team. But the coaches take down a team down there. Nashville's favored by 3 touchdowns, and the battle is on. And obviously a subpar team, sub 500, but just wasn't going to give up. Just 1-4. Had to win out to be able to go to even the playoffs, and it all had to start with Nashville right there.
Yes.
And you saw a squad that came out and played their hearts out with some really good players for Nashville. 3 of those 4 guys that were on that team playing at the next level. Very successful coach, of course. And so I think one of my best memories is that squad going in there and just lighting up the scoreboard and having fun like we talked about in round. I just think that was one of the best times. And us calling it, because if you recall, I don't know if they built that press box over there for us, but we've been known. Now this is just one of them, because we're going to start another one here in a minute, because we've been known to leave a few press boxes before, haven't we?
Or be
Yes.
forcefully asked to leave press boxes. I have some. Listen, I've got a list. Of
They may be listening, Mark.
I don't
careful.
care. I'm not going to drop any names, but I will say this. I have a list of schools that have wronged me as a broadcaster, and I will still go to your school and broadcast the game because we haven't missed a Fountain Lake game in 14 years, and we don't plan on it now. But, there's been some challenging times. Look, do Tracy and I get a little bit loud and, excited when the Cobras do cool things? Yeah, we do. But you should, too, and they should, too. Right. Because it's really cool when they see the Cobras do good things. But we get loud and kind of excited. We've been kicked out of a few press boxes or not even allowed in the first place. Or, a lot of the times what the schools really like to do is they like to wait until I'm set up because I come in early. I'm usually
Mark's an early bird. Let me just tell you, Mark's an early bird.
This will go into another story in a second, but I'm usually the first person. I usually beat the home team school to the stadium, like on road trips. I'm usually the first one there. I like to set up. I have a lot of anxiety about time. I don't want to be late to anything. And if you guys ever know about setting up equipment and stuff, things always go wrong. So I want to make sure that I'm there and set up and ready to go and just not stressed about it. I want to have a good show. I want to make it entertaining for you, the listener, and make it funny and whatever. But, the thing that the schools really like to do is wait till I'm fully set up and it's like 2 minutes away from kickoff. And they're like, no, you got to move. Go somewhere else. I don't care. Go in the bleachers.
Go across the street.
And it's like, really? It's like, really, guys? Really? Add them to the list. Anyway, but, one of the times that I was extremely early happened to be in a game at Smackover. Name drop, sorry. It was Smackover's first home game of the season. It was like week 2 or week 3 of the season. We go down to Smackover. It's my first time down there, and I'm there early, and I'm working on setting up. And they have a visitor's press box on the visitor side, and they say, go ahead, it's open. Go in there, do your thing. Okay, cool. So I go in there and I start setting up, not realizing that it's the first home game of the season, and nobody has been in this press box since the last home game of the previous season. And so I'm working on setting things up. Unbeknownst to me, there is a hornet's nest on the floor of the press box. Never would have looked for it. And I accidentally kicked the hornet's nest, and I get absolutely lit up. Tracy's coming into the stadium. I'm running down the bleachers, and I'm just eviscerated by hornet stings. And I on a personal note, I kind of have some health issues regarding the bee stings and things. I'm allergic, so it really became a situation of we're trying to get ready for game time. And now what are we going to do with Mark? What did Mark do this time? So I run down to the Dollar General and I just load up on Benadryl because that's all I know what to do at this point. And I am chugging Benadryl.
And I'm putting spray everywhere.
Yeah, and he's trying to spray. And we ultimately decide, the press box is just not safe for Mark. So we end up calling the game from the stands with all the Smackover fans.
Right in the middle of them, all the Buckaroos.
Anyways, so throughout this whole game, I am trying so hard not to fall asleep. Not because the game is boring, but because I just drank like all this Benadryl and I'm barely hanging on. I am barely hanging on, but the show must go on, right? And it gets down real close game. And then, of course, in the back of the end zone, Perrion Johnson makes a huge touchdown grab to put the Cobras up 29-28 in the final seconds. Colson Simpson ends up getting the onside kick, and Fountain Lake wins the game. And believe it or not, that's the call that wins us the Sully Award. Exactly. In 2017. And it puts us up there with the legendary high school broadcasters in high school football. It does. We're in that group, and we're one of the first to do it. But what the fans don't know is, great call. But what they don't know is I was really under the influence of some massive doses of Benadryl, just trying to stay. And plus, I had to drive home from Smackover after that. Obviously, you can hear my voice. I was fine. But that one's certainly one that will really stick out to me as, boy, you guys don't know what went into it. But now you know.
Oh, the Hornet call. Yes, the Sully Hornet call, infamous call. But, Mark, we've had so many good ones through the years. Of course, battling mosquitoes in England and then, of course, battling foes in Two Rivers.
I almost fought a guy.
Mr. Green Jeans.
I almost fought a guy at halftime at the Two Rivers game. Me. If you guys have ever seen me in person, you know that I have no business being in a fight with anyone anywhere.
It was so spectacular.
How much time we got?
Well, we got just a little bit
Here we
more.
go.
But that was...
Here we go. Two Rivers game. First things first, there's two incidents here. As we get to the game, this is one of the games that I actually happened to bring my wife and kids to, which doesn't happen very often on road games.
Nope.
They wanted to come along for this one. We get to the stadium and early hours before the show starts. And we happen to notice that there was an individual walking around outside of the stadium premises carrying a shotgun.
Mr. Green Jeans.
We ended up having to get the police involved because we're like, why are people just walking around with firearms at the football stadium? So anyway, there was an arrest that happened. And anyway, that was before the game. During the game, it's a very close game. We're in the press box. It's a one press box situation. So home and us are in there together. And in the main room of the press box, there's an individual in there that's just being really fiery and loud and maybe upset with the way that the game is going. I think Fountain Lake is winning as it goes to halftime. And just using so much foul language, which, listen, I don't really care about, but I do care about whenever it involves like the FCC and we're live on the air and I don't know what's bleeding over into that broadcast and he's right next to us just dropping all sorts of bombs. Anyway, at halftime, I go to him and I'm like, hey, man, listen, we're on the radio. We're live. You got to tone it down. You got to. I didn't ask. I told him, I said, you can't do this anymore. And he squared up on me. And it just so happened that there was a sheriff's deputy in the press box. I don't even know why. Anyway, there was a sheriff's deputy just in the press box, and he's like, listen, you guys are either going to break it up now or you're taking it off the campus. But I almost fought a dude.
Taking it off the campus, not
hey,
stopping
listen,
it, taking it off the campus. We're like, going, is this fifth grade?
I was so committed to protecting the station from an FCC violation. There you go, Alice. That's how much I love KVRE.
Taking one for the team.
I was about to go to battle for KVRE's sake.
We've got a lot of great memories through the years, and we'll bring those up to you guys throughout the year as we continue with Sports and Shorts. We're past the 2-minute warning in the fourth quarter. It's time for us to get on out of here. We'll continue the war stories down the road, though, Mark. What else you got, bud? Because we got, clock's taking off.
Well, of course, we're going to start breaking down high school football in the weeks to come. We've got so many teams here in the local areas, and a lot of them have new coaches and new looks and new players, and we're really excited to break down all of them for you all summer long here on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on KVRE. I'm really excited. Of course, Fountain Lake football will be right around the corner, and there's a lot of new faces in Cobra country, and we will definitely have in-depth looks on the Cobras as well.
More interviews, more Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition next Saturday, 10 o'clock. Don't forget, put it on your calendar right now. I'm Tracy Simpson for Mark Oliver. We'll see you next week, and hopefully not with the Hornets, right here at 92.9 KVRE, Hot Springs Village. And don't forget now, streaming, you can download it now and take us anywhere to listen to us, because we will definitely go. And if you've got something don't forget to let us know about it.